Rod Brind'Amour was on the show yesterday. We talked a lot. We talked about Nick Ehlers. We talked about Keandre Miller and all of that. And I asked him, because Carolina went into the offseason knowing they wanted to get better at center, knowing they really wanted to get better on the right side defensively, and maybe they indirectly did through the Miller signing. But they didn't address center. So, could Seth Jarvis slide to the middle? How do you think he'd do there?
I think he would. I think it kind of goes back to where you would remember the debate about putting Marty Necas at center, and that doesn't mean they wouldn't be able to do it. Are you losing some of the high end stuff that they do on the wing? Mm-hmm. And is it really worth it? Like, okay, play center now. You're taking the 30 guy can pump in 30 and he gets 20, but he's playing good defense. Is that worth it?
Right.
It's kind of that concept. You don't want to take some of your best players and make them worse by playing a position it is really hard. It's a hard position to play. So, it just adds another element, I guess, that takes away from your offense. You don't want that. So that's kind of the dilemma, and really we won't know until we do try it.
All right, so real quick to go back, he likened it to Martin Necas. Thinking about the whole world wanted Necas to be the second center of the team, and Rod was like, "No, I have this dynamic offensive machine, but offensive piece who sometimes was great and sometimes was not. And if I put him in the middle, I lose a lot of where Necas is at his best, which is in space on the wings." Flying down the outside, carrying the puck. Necas had never been a very good player in the middle of the ice. Jarvis can be. But the Necas thing, I always thought it was funny, people were actually making assumptions that because Necas is listed as a center, that he was a center. Martin Necas played center for 7 games for Carolina. The first 7 games he ever played. That was the first year Carolina made the playoffs, and after those 7 games, the Hurricanes sent him to the minor leagues. And Rod told me then, he goes, I can't put him on the ice. As soon as I put him out there, at the time, JT Miller, who's now with the Rangers, was with Vancouver before that, was with Tampa. And it was right after a game against Tampa, and Rod said, as soon as I put Necas, as soon as I send him out for the faceoff, Tampa sent a JT Miller over the board. I can't do that. Marty get killed. So, again, Necas isn't Jarvis. Seth is not a giant. Let's call Seth 5'10", 190 pounds. That might be generous, 190. But let's call him 5'10", 190. He has obviously has shoulder issues, but he can play through them. It's not an automatic that Seth Jarvis would be a great center. I think he could be a good center. I think Seth can be a great wing. But what I'm not worried about by moving Jarvis to center, if that's the way they go, and I still believe that their first choice would be to acquire a center, play him there, and let Seth be on the wing. But I do think that Jarvis could handle the defensive responsibilities without sacrificing his offense, because his offense does not come from being super flashy, dynamic on the wings, although he has that element. So I think they could get away with it with Seth. And I have not seen Logan Stankoven do those types of things, but maybe they could get away with it him. He's even smaller than Seth. But again, I still think their first option is to go and acquire that from outside the organization. But I think if they don't, Seth will probably start in preseason working in the middle. And they'll see how it goes. And if it doesn't go, then Carolina will go about their business of Aho, Stahl, Kotkaniemi, and Jankowski. Now, real quick, because there were people on my timeline after making all the crazy fantasy hockey trades, there were people on my timeline saying, "Oh, Rod said all those things, and Kotkaniemi's still on the roster." You're right. And he might well still be on the roster, even if Carolina makes a trade, even if Seth Jarvis plays center. I could see Kotkaniemi starting the season in the lineup. Maybe not in a second center role, maybe as a third or fourth center. I've always looked at Carolina, I always say it this way. Carolina's got the stall line, and then they have 3 scoring lines. One of those you would call their fourth line, and that's fine. But I could see Kotkaniemi, I don't know, Robinson and Carrier as a line. I could see Kotkaniemi, Blake and Carrier, or Blake and Robinson as a line. I think that line might be effective offensively. So, because Kotkaniemi, and if Kotkaniemi can't beat Mark Jankowski to the starting lineup, that's on KK. 100% on KK. We'll see how it all shakes out, but I am not against, in any way, shape, or form, Kotkaniemi staying not only on the team, but in the lineup, even if Jarvis or Stankoven were to move to center.